Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next episode of Agents of AI. I'm your host, Peter Stubbe, community leader for Capto. Agents of AI is Capto's podcast focused on highlighting practitioners, thought leaders, enthusiasts, and everywhere in between of people living in the world of AI, finance, tax, compliance, and even beyond. Our guests and our special programming format is that they join us in a anonymized, or let's call it avatar state. So if you're listening along, please make sure to try and guess the identity of our guests before we reveal them at the very end of the program. The final thing I'll share is please get in touch. We are happy to have additional featured speakers and are really excited to continue to expand this program. At the time of this recording, we're now surpassing over 20 episodes and doing so in a very short period of time. So we're excited to keep the momentum going. But enough of a pitch about Agents of AI and Capto. I'm very excited to introduce our next guest, or their anonymized identity. We've come up with an interesting name, and we hope everybody acknowledges the pop culture reference of Dumbledore of Tax. So Dumbledore of Tax, the wizard. Maybe that might be another way to address you for the time being, but please go ahead, sir, and introduce yourself a little bit more, obviously leaving off your full name and employer at this current time, but excited to hear more about you and your background before we get into the conversation.
Well, first off, thanks, Peter, for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be spending the next couple of minutes with you discussing about AI, taxes, and things that, around finance. Mm-hmm. So I'm based in Luxembourg, and I spent my career at the intersection of finance operations and private market executions. I started in a Big Four firm and spent close to a decade there. And then I spent 7 intense and highly formative years in one of the top private equity firms as part of senior management and IFM investment committee, where I led transaction support from deal approval to deal closing and helped manage the entire holding period. Alongside, I was responsible for a broad range of tax and structuring topics, covering everything from investor to fund structuring, SPV management, carry vehicles, etc. 2 years ago, I started my own business, where I operate as board member, fractional CEO and CFO, and also intermediary on M&A transaction. My mission is to help investors and investment managers, fund administrators to operate smoother, better, faster structure, take better decision with fewer operation headaches. Last but not least, clearly the most important, together with my former colleagues and with Atos, we'll build Equinox, an AI-enabled SaaS platform designed to make tax structuring, fund operations, and deal execution radically simpler and fully automated. We are building the most advanced platform in the market to make fund flows, cap table, document generation, signatures, payments, not only efficient, but pain-free.
Cool. Well, love the background. And I also love highlighting whenever we have a guest like yourself, which quite frequently we do, Dumbledore Tax, is that coming from that structured large corporation background and then now transitioning to, let's call it your own thing, but like an informed new entrepreneurial effort, is you're sharing a lot of commonalities with past guests. And it's one of those things that we really like to support because we feel like there's an opportunity to uplift these people that are taking the leap to go off and do their own things, and nothing inspires us more. So congratulations on that career journey to date. And we're excited to dive a little bit deeper into who you are and what you do and what makes you tick. So, we always ask this question in the vein of, you could do anything in the world. We all can do anything in the world. Why do you do what you do now? Like what motivates you? Why pursue this with such a passion that you feel the opportunity to even go off into your own business and be that motivated? What about the tax and investment management space, keeps you motivated? Yeah.
Well, thanks for asking the question. Actually, like finance as a whole and investment management more specifically, I love that because it gives you both depth and breadth concretely. It's a highly technical discipline. It demands rigor, structure, and precision. But beyond that, it gives a 360 degrees view on everything you touch and organization and how the value is created, basically. So after years on years, it's more and more exciting, actually, where you could think that, after a while you start to be bored. There is no such thing. There is no routine in that business from my perspective. It could be that you work on the back office side on FP&A, SPV accounting, tax reporting. You could be on the middle and front office side where you're involved in deals, fundraising, executions, or you could directly be in contact with portfolio companies, group CEOs, and helping them during the holding period of the investment fund. So that is really so much that you can do and work on that is totally different and makes your life every day different. And on the top of that, there is for pretty much all actors on the market a technology layer to all of those different steps that you could take in the organization. Everything you could turn into a process. Then you standardize, you start automating based on that, you structure the data out of that, and from that perspective, then you can finally let AI operate intelligence on top of the structure. All of those have been challenges that we went through over the last decades, and now finally come to something that we can definitely work on efficiently with the use of AI.
Excellent. Well, we're jumping ahead to the normal routine and flow of questions, but I do want to make sure also that we ask something of you that we kind of regularly prompt all of our guests is, what do you feel is the most underappreciated portion of your work? Like something, I think you've already made a really, really great point about these different layers of the finance department. I think that can be inspiring for people that want to pursue a role, that there isn't this tried and true single destination for finance professionals. You have all these variables of places you can go within the organization. But maybe to kind of build on that, what do you think is something that somebody does that doesn't get really the praise that it should, whether it's across the organization or across the world for that matter?
Yeah. I think that and I speak from experience. I speak from experience, not only mine, but many people, many peers I've been talking to over years. Most of the people underestimate the complexity of the business in itself, the loss of time by trying to manage and juggle with different aspects of the business, that you're not compulsorily the one that has to lead, but it has a snowball effect on your day-to-day work. And people also underestimate then the transversal nature of the work of people working in the operations of an investment structure fund. So strong professional, especially in private markets, become a kind of a Swiss Army knife, if I can say so, not only for numbers, but also for decision-making, operations, executions, and bottom line, risk management in general. So, finance trains your brain to analyze complex inputs quickly, synthesize what matters, understand business model across industries. As I was saying, you're in contact with portfolio companies of different natures, right? And deliver clear recommendation, with confidence to the management. I would say it's almost like acting. You are constantly switching context and playing different roles depending on the situation. And definitely, again, there's little routine to that. So from my perspective, this is the most underestimated aspect, that basically you can interact with pretty much anyone, because your exposure is so wide.
Great. Okay. And so now to jump to the technology portion, which is overarching across the entire role. Talk to me a little bit about your use of AI, or your experience with AI, but start from the beginning. We love hearing use cases that actually went into production, actually drove value for organizations or personal individuals. What if you could think back to that first use case, you can fudge if it was one of the first use cases? What got you most interested in leveraging AI technology and automation within your role? Yeah.
So looking back basically at when I started using AI, it's not so such a long time ago. Actually, I would say around 2 years when ChatGPT was launched. Basically, it was I think I started with curiosity, and I quickly realized how transparent it could become once the model would be a bit more stable and gather more information, more reliable information. And I still today do not use it 100% of its potential, but there's a clear steep learning curve on those things on both sides. AI improves, I improve. And so you need time to adapt your prompt structure and expectation to reach professional standards. So went from a private use just for fun, basically trivial things like I cannot remember the name of a movie or an actor or a capital city and just asking, right? To planning trips, creating itineraries, or creating weekly planning for meals, etc. And then from a personal perspective, then I felt like it could be a lot of time gain pretty much on every step that I'm taking. So basically, I was pitching for standardization before because that was the premises of where we are now piggybacking on that basically standardization. And I apply it to myself and my own business concretely, where as a CEO/CFO role, it compresses my time and increases the quality at every step of the execution and helps kind of focus on the output and communication to the right people to make the message more understandable. So structuring deliverables and executive level communication, drafting memos or board minutes, synthesizing complex information, because sometimes you aggregate like tons and tons of documentation, and that's very important to be able to take the most out of it without losing yourself there. However, it's obvious that it cannot be used as I put everything in there and that's my deliverables. You need to critically assess everything. You need to be the expert. You need to teach the AI to deliver the way you want to be delivered. And you need to treat AI as basically a junior person within your team. So that's from my perspective, how I use it now in my current role. But beyond productivity, because we talk about productivity here, there is also a core building block of what we are developing with Equinox. I mentioned earlier that I'm developing this IT company, and we are not only using AI, we are designing AI-enabled workflows that can take private markets operation to the next level and ultimately, become a platform where AI can support execution from end to end. So for me, I use both the tool as a daily and strategic capability, and I'm actively bringing into the future of finance operations.
Excellent. Well, that's a great segue to my follow-up question, but I also want to call out, we've been seeing this a lot in our feed, especially from other fractional CFOs or fractional, just CFOs for that matter, this kind of bubbling sentiment that organizations do not need a fractional CFO because they can just push everything into AI and it will do all the work for them. And that's a really, really risky, and there's a lot of people like yourself that are calling attention to the fact that simply asking the AI to do everything is not the right approach. You're not going to get the proper output next. You need that specialized intelligence and you need the training capability in order to together, human and AI, get the output that you desire. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cannot agree more to that, actually. It's all a risk-based approach, right? And they'll figure out, those who are just pushing it and just using AI as their sole source of truth without challenging it or without taking care about how they prompt, will realize sooner or later the deficiencies that they have been building other processes on, which means that the whole thing can collapse because the base layer is basically not reliable.
Yep. Excellent. So looking forward, you already used the word future. You already have kind of given a preview of what you're building. What is that next use case that's aspirational for you for AI that you would like to see it take on that maybe you haven't put into production yet, or you don't feel is like necessarily production ready, but you can see the pathway for going ahead?
Definitely. That's a very broad, we could spend hours on that question concretely. But if I just take the case of Equinox, so it's not only content creation or analysis that we're thinking of. This is a whole operating layer of private markets. Private markets are still immature markets, and they are becoming more mature day after day. And AI will just make them jump from, say, 1G to 5G directly, concretely.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're talking about. And in private equity and alternative investments, a lot of complexity comes from the combination of structuring complex legal documentation, investor reporting, multi-entity flows, tax consideration, of course, and operational execution. So this creates a necessary friction, manual work, heavy coordination, repeated errors, and delays. And teams feel exhausted. They kind of, their energy is swamped into useless tasks that could be automated. So AI definitely, for me, is going to be the way to create the link and cut those elements of frictions going forward. That's basically how I want to see AI. What AI should become for everyone. Kind of a glue that makes this thing sticks, and at the same time make the communication more fluid across the business line. So our ambition, like specifically for our tool, is basically that AI supports a full operating chain, like fund and deal structuring, automated workflows, fund flows and cap tables, automation, signature routine, payment execution, and of course, continuous compliance, readiness in documentation. So the future is a world where, the finance team would spend most of their time on strategy, investing decision and value creation, rather than coordinating low-value tasks. That's bottom line what we're all looking for, and what we're definitely,
Amen to that, Dumbledore Tax. I think that's one that all us wizards can agree on that being the end goal here. So, okay, final question before we reveal your identity and before we let everybody know who the wise person behind the wizard mask is. Any final advice that you would share with a peer, maybe somebody who's earlier on their journey? What's something that can set them up for success, or resources that they could use? Just maybe friendly advice. I'm very happy to hear that you have such active conversations with your peers. What is everybody doing together to be better about this, the future world that we'll live in?
I guess if I start by the conclusion of this, but I can further detail that. I would say, don't fear AI, embrace it. So we can all have philosophical, understanding or fears about it, and that's absolutely understandable. But on a day-to-day business and for what we have to achieve, like it's time to really embrace it. It's not the time to be thinking like, what is it going to take for my job, right? Or am I going to lose it? No, it's just going to be, how do I adapt to that new world in which I'm currently living? And rather than resisting something that is just going to, be the next generation and the way forward, just embrace it and try to give as much as you can in. So basically, you're part of that move. And in terms of steps that one can take if he is nowhere, if you want to jump fast, just use a service provider specialized in AI to help you, develop your own AI infrastructure. If you're not there yet and you just want to, test a bit, just use AI daily for small tasks. Treat it like a junior team member and create your own prompt library. And then over time, things will, build up, and you're going to feel like, more acquainted to it, and then have most value add, situations for your next decisions.
Excellent advice. So, all right, I don't have anything much more intelligent to say on top of that, besides saying that I think that this is also the approach that that Capto sees in our client engagements as well. If I could talk a little bit about Capto, this pressure outside belief that you need to start at the most complex use cases. You need to start at the jumping ahead to those aspirational headlines that we see of all the things that AI can do. You said it best. Start small. Treat it as a junior employee that you're training. We oftentimes interchangeably even use that word AI employee to describe what we do. and realize the need to invest and kind of start small and build and evolve your processes with the AI layer. So good on you for calling out that measured approach. With that said, we're going to move forward in revealing your identity. What you're going to do, Dumbledore Tax, is hover over your settings again and simply click off the effect that you set earlier. And that should reveal your full face.
It's funnily enough, I can select another one, but I don't manage to unselect the one I have. Oh,
there you go. Yeah. Okay, we got it. And we have a tradition here. I don't say your name or who you are. We give you that honor. Please go ahead. Share more.
My name is Boris Lemigre. And as mentioned earlier, I spent like 2 decades in Luxembourg within investment funds, from operations to finance aspects. Glad to have spent those 20 minutes with you. It's really inspiring to talk about AI.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Boris, for being a guest. We really appreciate all the wisdom and wizardry that you brought forth, and maybe even so, like removing some of the magic around AI and bringing it more practical. So we appreciate that from your wizard avatar, and we encourage people to go off and get in touch with you or connect with you for more. Is there anything you'd like to finally share in terms of like the best way to go about that? I know that you have you know, your own LinkedIn page, of course, but is there anything else that you'd like to tout as we kind of conclude today's conversation?
Sure. Thanks for asking. So you can reach me on www.bladvisory.eu. That's my professional website, and you can also contact us on www.equinotes.com for anything dealing with the IT that we're developing.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.
All right.